Get ready for an eargasm as you listen to unsolicited advice from that chick you know, and that chick you know would be me, India L. Trotter. Sit back, relax, and get ready for a full dose of real talk. Enjoy the podcast, and note, this podcast is for mature audiences only. Well, hello, everyone. Hello. That was my Lionel Richie right there. So, hello, everyone. Let me introduce the podcast. The podcast is Unsolicited Advice from that chick you know, and that chick you know would be me, India L. Trotter. And I start off each podcast talking about how excited I am to be here, and I really am, because it's just interesting and amazing to me that I can get anyone to listen to my rant and my rhetoric. So I'm just so happy that you guys are here to listen to it. So, you want to hear it? Here it goes. Today's topic came to me as I was surfing social media yesterday, because unlike all the other people in America and around the world, I was not watching the Super Bowl. I was actually at work. So there's some things that I missed. Like, I didn't know that the Denver Broncos had beat the Carolina Panthers. Shout out to the Denver Broncos for winning the Super Bowl. Not that it really matters to me, because my team or my teams, are the Chargers and the Eagles. And we can discuss that later. Well, maybe I'll have some like female football talk. Maybe I'll do a podcast like that, but not this year. Next year, when the season gets underway, because I actually do watch football, and I have a reason why I have my teams. But again, I digressed. Let me move back to the topic. So, like I was saying, I was at work surfing social media, and one of the things that I saw was that some former NFL player, Bill Romanowski, is that how you say it? I don't know. He used to be a Denver Bronco, but he was reacting to, I guess, Cam Newton's disappointment for his loss of the Super Bowl, because who wouldn't be disappointed? You get that far and then you don't bring your dream to fruition. So yeah, he's a little upset. But nonetheless, this guy, Bill Romanowski, sends out this tweet, and in the tweet it says verbatim, "You will never last in the NFL with that attitude. The world doesn't revolve around you, boy," with an exclamation mark, and then hashtag Cam Newton. So, for those who don't understand what the problem is with this tweet, this podcast is for you. Because there's a lot of things that people say that are cloaked with racism. There's that undertone. It's that hidden racism. Things that you say that don't sound like they should be inappropriate, but are totally meant to be demeaning, off-putting, and just downright disrespectful. And it's all based on race. I mean, here you have a white male calling a grown African American male a boy. It was to show a lack of power, to actually take his power away from him, to detract from his accomplishments, to make him feel lesser than what he already is. And let's be clear, Cam Newton is very accomplished. In addition to his most major accomplishment, which is being a grown-ass black male who is an MVP in the National Football League, but he's a father. He's a face of a franchise. He is so much more than what any one of us would label a boy. So let's be clear, this Bill Romanowski character did not say that he was acting like a boy. He called him a boy. And so with that, today's podcast will be 5 racist things you should never say. I want to make it 5 racist things you should never say or do, because if one more motherfucker asks me, is that your hair? I'm going to have a problem. Becky, stop asking me if this is my hair inappropriately in front of folks. Okay, I just had to get that off my chest. Because ladies of color, you know that you will be in the middle of an office and Becky will say, I like your hair. Is that your hair? Don't do that. So it should be the topic should be 5 racist things that you should not say or do. But I'm just going to keep it at or say. So let's get started, shall we? Number 1. The first word that you should not use anymore is the word uppity. And I don't really hear people use uppity a lot anymore, but uppity means that you are a black person who doesn't know your place. That is the origin or the original meaning of that word. That uppity and the word arrogant. As a black person, when I hear someone call me arrogant, it means, in my mind, that you're telling me that I don't know my place. And that because my thoughts of me are greater than your thoughts of me, that you feel that I should feel less than, more than, equal to, or superior. So I don't like the word uppity. I also don't like the word arrogant. But if you want to describe me as having my nose in the air, call me bougie. I can be bougie, but I can't be uppity and I cannot be arrogant. Not when you're speaking to a person of color. I don't like those 2 words. So let's take those out of our vocabulary, shall we? Number 2. Now, this next one, and I'm guilty, because as you listen to this podcast, I don't want you all to think that I'm like this holier than thou, I've never said any of these things type of person. But once you know what the meanings are, you don't necessarily want to continue to say them. So I'm trying to do better. But this particular one is the itis. Now, the itis is used to refer to that feeling you have after you've eaten. Like you almost want to go into like this food like coma. Like you just become immediately tired and want to lay down. And typically that's because of some chemical things that are going on in your body and digestive systems and things of that nature. But we refer to it as the itis. And you have heard people say it, and I think it started to cross barriers, color barriers. But the bottom line is that the word itis stemmed from, and I'm about to be extremely vulgar and use a word that is totally inappropriate. Please do not feel free to use this word when speaking to me, but it's typically called the niggeritis. And we, as black people, have been labeled lazy after we eat. So, as you can see, the root of the word and the meaning behind it is something that we just shouldn't say anymore. We should just leave that word to the side. After you eat, just be like, I'm a little tired. Don't say I got the itis. Even though I have said it, but I'm not going to say it anymore. I'm going to work on that. Let's step away from saying that. And non-people of color, you should not say this word. It's bad. It's kind of like saying the N-word, but not really, but kind of. Okay then, moving on. Number 3. Okay, so this next phrase is one that is used when we are getting unsolicited advice or maybe some interruption. I don't want to use the word heckle because I see it in all of the definitions, but I'll use the word heckle. From someone or input from someone that we don't want. We will use the phrase, no comments from the peanut gallery. You guys have heard that. No, we don't need no comments from the peanut gallery. Okay, well, this phrase, the peanut gallery, is cloaked in racism because back in the day, in vaudeville day, or even pre-vaudeville, African Americans or black patrons were not permitted to sit in the same portions of the theater as their Anglo brothers and sisters. And so while Becky and Bob were down below, we have all of our black brothers and sisters sitting in what was called the peanut gallery, which was above where everybody, it's kind of like in a balcony, if you will, where everyone had to sit. And the reason why it was called the peanut gallery was because the least expensive of all the snacks is what was served there, and that was peanuts. So if you were sitting in the cheap seats or the seats that were not considered the better seats in the theater, you were considered being seated in what was called the peanut gallery. So we won't be using that phrase anymore. No comments from the peanut gallery, because what you're basically saying when you say that phrase is we don't want any comments from those who are lesser than ourselves. And so you need to be quiet. No. Especially not when you're talking to people of color. You might want to leave that one out. So, again, we won't be using that phrase anymore. Number 4. All right, this next word is going to be a little shocking and surprising to some, but the word is picnic. So, historically, picnic was associated with lynchings. And again, I'm going to be crude because I'm not going to substitute a word here, but they used to be referred to picnickers. So basically what would happen is when African Americans were lynched, it would be kind of like this get together, if you will, of all of these people, historically white people who were lynching black folks. So they would call it a picnic. And so once you know that, I don't want to be invited to a picnic. Don't invite me to no picnic. You can invite me to a cookout, you can invite me to a barbecue, and you can invite me to an outing. A picnic? Not so much. We're going to stay away from that word because now I know the meaning of it. I know where it derived from. And yeah, folks have a tendency of trying to say what it means now, but I don't care what it means now if I know where it came from. And I know it came from a bad place, and I know it came from some of my ancestors hanging from trees and having nooses and ropes around their neck. So I'm not going to go to a picnic. Now, if you're having a cookout, a gathering, I'm all there. I'm all about the food. But don't invite me to the picnic. And more importantly, don't let's not talk about picnics. Not with me. It's a bad word. And we're going to stay away from it. I know folks are going to be like, "Oh, you're taking it a little bit too far." I'm not taking it a little bit too far. My ancestors hung from trees at what was called a picnic. So I'm not going to, just a couple hundred years later, decide that I'm not going to acknowledge that this has happened and just arbitrarily go to a picnic. No picnics. Cookouts, gatherings, barbecues. See you there. And number 5. All right then. This one here is for those people who have children. Little children. We all know the it's not a nursery rhyme. Not a nursery rhyme. It's just a cute little catchphrase. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe. Y'all remember that? Well, again, with roots back in slavery time, the phrase didn't used to have the word tiger in it. It used to be eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch it N-word by the toe. Now, I've said N-word already during the course of this whole podcast, but I'm just tired of saying it because it is very offensive, and it's unfortunate that so many of the words that we're discussing today have their roots in a time that just was not a good place for black people. So, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe, it was later changed to tiger to be non-offensive, but when you know where it comes from, talking about if he hollers, let him go, we were talking about a person. So, it's not innocent, folks. It's not innocent, and we can't just change meanings and make it be something different. Now, I'm not opposed to change, but we can't make it something different. We can't make it something good. So I just implore you